Hi people, the Employed Moth here. Going to read you a quote and talk about it. Look inwards and realise how ungrounded you truly are. Everything we have been brainwashed to want is outward. We are the pigs, and society is the farmer, feeding us our material desires, and we keep eating it. And the farmer keeps making money off of us. The one who's inner, instead of outer, is satisfied, is truly authentic and free. Let's unpack this. I talk about this idea of the farmer being society. It's a metaphor, it's an analogy. Farmers feed their pigs scraps, and the pigs don't know any better. They eat and they think life is good because they're surviving. They don't know that they're trapped in a cycle of production and consumerism. Sure, we look at some examples of farming pigs and it's extremely terrible. And there's all sorts of mental disorders that come with it and physical disorders. But for the most part, if it was what you would consider humane, or I guess the correct way to farm, which would be free range, then the pigs would be out and they'd be able to walk around. So the farmer's feeding the pigs, and the pigs for the most part are eating the scraps, and then eventually they'll be killed and turned into bacon. And that's what society is. So those pigs, for the most part, are doing all the work for the farmer. They're growing, they're eating, and eventually they'll become a product. Society feeds us the same way the farmer feeds those pigs, except society is feeding us material possessions. And we keep buying the material possessions. And when we buy them, that makes money for society. It keeps society going in that sense. But that's the problem with our society right now. It's not sustainable. It's built on produce, and consume. So instead of building a sustainable society where we don't have to continuously buy and continuously work ourselves into the ground, we have the exact opposite of what we should have. We have a society that destroys the planet in the name of production. And that's our problem. We keep turning the wheels of society, and it continues to produce what we don't want, which is an unsustainable living. Look at all the mental disorders that are coming about because of the society we live in. The same mental disorders and problems that pigs face when they're locked up so tightly. In society now, we are locked up tightly. If we don't work, we don't get anything. But the jobs that we work define how much we get. And a certain standard is needed to get a pretty decent type of living. Some people can't make that cut, and they fall behind. They fall to the bottom of society. And this society doesn't think about them. Very little is done to bring that group of people up and get them producing and get them feeling some self-worth and fulfillment. Because the society doesn't wait. It keeps going. And it doesn't stop. It needs to produce more and more to fill the greed. So we are the pigs and society is the farmer. We do the work. And it continues to make more and more money off of us. And that's where the inner and outer get drawn into this. We're trapped. We have to work, fair enough, and we have to produce, and that's okay. We need to give ourselves to a society, and we are group type people in how we live. But we need to think about how we are living and how much of our inner self we spend time on. Doing things for us that we are meant to do in order to live a fulfilling life. That's what we have to do. So we have to give time to ourselves. We have to spend time doing the things that we love, our passions. When we're not doing those things, we become ungrounded. We lose track of who we are. We lose self-identity because we've given ourselves over to a machine. We lose our individuality. When we lose these things, we can just totally become victims to the system. We get lost. We don't have any goals. We don't know what we want out of life. We can go decades never thinking of these things. Continuously turning up to work day in, day out. Next minute, 10 years goes past. 20 years. And all you've got to show for it is a bunch of things. As soon as we retire, or we get fired from our works, made redundant, it all goes away. We go back to the place we were before, with nothing. All of our accomplishments were put into our workplace. They're not personal accomplishments. We didn't learn a martial art or how to play an instrument, or we didn't read X amount of books, or go on a trip and hike that mountain, or whatever you want to consider is important to us. Learn yoga, whatever. All of our accomplishments were in a workplace. When that gets taken away from us, we go back to square one as people. We have to start all over again as an individual. We never developed ourselves. That's how the system can trap us. And we can live very unfulfilling lives if that's all we do. So the people who look inwards, so to speak, do things for themselves, try to create a balance of the inner and outer energy or activity they're doing. Work a little bit in the society, make a difference for people, and then do some stuff for ourselves. Work for ourselves, develop ourselves. Create that balance between the two. Then we start to live fulfilling lives. Then we create a balance that is sustainable, manageable, and enjoyable. We have to do things for other people. We should all be doing more for each other. But we also have to nourish ourselves, fulfill what we want to accomplish. Anyway, just some thoughts on that particular topic. The Employed Moth here, signing out.